Hey, how's it going? Welcome to part one of mastering the first 5 minutes of instruction time. I am your host, Jason, and I'm going to lead you through both parts one and two. Okay, let's get started here. So, we're going to take a look first at the Touchstone Standard. These are the standards and performance levels that you are going to be graded upon. All right, we want to aim for effective and better yet, highly effective. All right, just because we want to end on a positive note, let's actually start at the bottom and then work our way up. Okay, so here's what ineffective looks like. If you're ineffective, it says the teacher is in the room but unprepared, with materials not readily available, or instructional plans incomplete. There is no bell ringer or opening task, and students are disengaged or waiting for direction. In layman's terms, you're a hot mess, right? Hey, it makes sense. You're the leader of your classroom as the teacher. Your students are waiting for direction. Please, please, oh great leader, lead us. Let us know what you want. So, ineffective. Let's avoid this like the bubonic plague. And hey, I'm a history teacher, so I know about the bubonic plague. Let me tell you, it's not good. Okay, let's kind of move up. So, minimally effective. All right, still hot mess territory, but maybe a little bit less of a hot mess. Okay, the teacher is in the room, but is still gathering materials or finalizing plans when the bell rings. The bell ringer is inconsistent or unclear, leading to some student off-task behavior. This is what we call a natural consequence. If you have a hard to understand bell ringer, if your bell ringer makes your students go, what? Then you can expect off-task behavior. One leads to the other. Okay? All right, just so we're clear on that. Now let's move on to developing. So, it's my hope that this is what the ground floor actually looks like for us. Okay? The teacher is present and has most materials ready, but may be making last-minute adjustments. The bell ringer is posted, but students require frequent reminders to begin. All right, so here's the thing. Here's a tip. It's okay to have some last-minute adjustments sometimes. That's just part of the gig, right? But let's make sure that those last-minute adjustments are at the very beginning of our workday, after we've gotten into our classroom and way before the first bell rings. Okay? That's the best time to make those last-minute adjustments. If you're making them on the fly during instruction time, you're wasting valuable time. We'll continue to get into that, though, okay? Here's what effective looks like. Now, this is where we're starting to want to hit. This is where we want to hit those plateaus, okay? Effective looks like the teacher is in position to start the lesson with necessary materials and plans in place. The bell ringer or opening activity is visible and accessible, and students are beginning their tasks with minimal redirection needed. This is good, okay? Listen, if you look like this your first couple of years, if you look like this maybe towards the first several weeks, maybe month of the school year, depending on your class, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. Let's give ourselves a little bit of grace, okay? Sometimes when you start a new class, they need a little bit of time, a little bit of practice time to understand and just know what they're doing, okay? But we're moving in a good place. This is awesome. Let's keep going, okay? We want to hit highly effective. Let's take a look at what that looks like. This is what we want to be by the mid-year, by the end of the year, right? We want to hit that highly effective plateau, okay? So the teacher is fully prepared for instruction. They are standing in an intentional location, have all materials organized. The lesson is ready to begin, and students are engaged in the bell ringer or opening activity with clear expectations. Again, one more time for the folks in the back. Clear expectations. They know what they need to do, and they're going to do it. Okay? So, that's what a highly effective teacher looks like. You have your materials ready to go. You can start teaching at the drop of a hat. You're like, let's go. All right? That's what we're aiming for. Okay. Let's move on with it from the Touchstone Standard. So, here's the question. why the first 5 minutes matter, okay? Why do you think the first 5 minutes matter? Contemplate that for a second. I don't know. Why do you think they matter? I want to introduce to you a word, okay? It's like Sesame Street. Here's the word of the day, kids, okay? What does the Latin word taxus mean? Latin? You want me to know Latin? Well, hey, yeah, this is a good word to know, actually. Let's take a look. Taxus means, roughly translated, order or arrangement. Okay, I want to repeat that. Taxus, roughly translated, means order or arrangement. Why would order or arrangement matter? Put your thinking caps on for a second. Let's explore this concept deeper. Okay, let's take a look here. So, based on Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, is the belief that virtue is developed through habit. Okay, I want to stress here, with the classical educator mindset here, the most important purpose for having students, for being a teacher, for this whole education thing, is to help to instill virtue in your students. We want virtuous citizens. That's what runs a good community. Okay, we want virtuous students. How do we achieve virtue? Through habit. Okay, habit is how we're going to do this. A well-ordered classroom as such must achieve taxus from the very first moments to properly instill habits of attentiveness, promptness, and discipline. Okay, so I want to stress that again. You're trying to instill habits of attentiveness, promptness, and discipline. Okay, these are habits, hopefully, way after your students or after your classroom, they will continue to keep with them. Okay, if they do, you've got something there, right? Now, the first 5 minutes are a prime time to train students to direct their mental faculties fully forward towards the task at hand. Viewing attention not as a passive state, but as an active virtue. We want them to not just kind of be sitting there, hey, what's up, teach, right? We want them ready to go, engage. Oh, wow, I'm so happy that I'm here at math class today, or English, or whatever your subject is, science, okay? Now, it's not a passive state, it's an active virtue, okay? A focused beginning ensures that the students' minds are ready to engage deeply with the material. We want them thinking deeply, okay? Fostering the capacity for sustained thought and contemplation that is central to classical learning. Okay, again, doesn't matter what your subject is, history, science, dance, okay? You're in one of the other arts, okay? You're doing pottery, or you're teaching them ballet. It doesn't matter, okay? We want them deeply thinking about the material, okay? We want them to have deep thought and contemplation. That's what we're aiming for. Okay, let's continue. Here's a quote. The great skill of a teacher is to get and keep the attention of his scholar. Without that, all his bustle and pother will be to little or no purpose. Anyone want to guess who said that? 3, 2, 1. All right, time's up. I'll let you know who said this. It was actually John Locke. Yes, of the Enlightenment. Okay, John Locke. He wrote a fantastic book called Some Thoughts Concerning Education from 1693. I highly recommend you read that book if you get a chance, okay? So, Some Thoughts Concerning Education, John Locke, 1693. You're golden. Okay, so, it's very important that you get and keep the attention of your student instantly, okay? If you can maintain that attention, we're ready to roll, okay? We're ready to learn whatever we're going to learn today, all right? Let's continue here. So, why the first 5 minutes matter? Here's a few more ideas to consider. The first few minutes are an opportunity to engage the student's intellect by recalling foundational grammar, that means facts, definitions, basic principles, and posing questions that lead to logic, understanding relationships and reasons. Okay? This immediate intellectual engagement, often through recitation, review, or a compelling question, serves to bridge prior knowledge with the new material. Hey, you know that 1 plus 1 equals 2. Well, now we're going to learn that 2 plus 2 equals 4. It gets more complicated than that, but I'm just a basic example here, okay? Here's the thing. In 2006, there was a study done by Cooper, Robinson, and Patel that found that students' attention declined steadily after the first few minutes of instruction. The results of the study only underscores what classical educators have known for centuries. The first 5 minutes of learning are the most vital. Okay, let me repeat that again for those in the back. All right, pay attention. The first 5 minutes of learning are the most vital. It's the most vital. Okay, this is where you're going to set the stage for the rest of your time. All right. So let's take a look at what to do. This is where we're going to start to wrap up part 1. Okay, listing class daily information. Be sure to clearly list what your class is. What's your subject? Dance, science, history, whatever your subject is. Make sure you let your class know. Be really unfortunate if they went to the wrong period, right? The wrong subject. Yeah, let's avoid that, okay? Also, you need to list your daily learning objective. Again, mileage is going to vary depending on what your subject is, but every day you want them learning something new. What is it? Let them know what it is. What your class should know by the end of the period. Hey, when you leave my class today, you're going to know this, this, and this, okay? Now, you can put this learning objective, I don't know, it's just on your board, within your bell ringer slide, within your daily vocabulary slide, or even as its own slide. It could be its own slide. Make sure it's listed and verbalized within the first 5 minutes of class time, okay? This is kind of the end, in a way, of those 5 minutes, all right? You want to make sure that they're ready to go. This is what we're doing. This is what the class is. Okay, start your engines. Let's get moving, all right? Now, for me, I usually put it at the end of the vocabulary, okay? So they got their bell ringer, all right? We'll talk about that in a moment. Then we go into vocab for the day. We read the vocab, and then I tell them what the daily learning objective is. But again, mileage will vary. This is a spot where you actually have a little bit of flexibility, okay? Just make sure we get that in within the first 5 minutes of class. All right, so that's the end of part 1. Let's move over to part 2. I'll see you over there. All right.